You are live with the App Show. Mike Agerbo here in studio, broadcasting from home. And we've got our fellow home broadcasters, John Biehler and Graham Williams, joining us today. Thanks for popping in, guys. We
Glad
have
to be here.
we have a really cool program. We are going to give you Zoom hacks. We're all video conferencing. A lot of us are using Zoom. Well, we're going to tell you the best way to use it, how to make it more fun, and how you can look like $1,000,000 while you're using it as well. We're also going to be talking with the folks over at Roku. They make the smart TV sticks and boxes and TVs about some of the new updates they've done to their platform. Some really cool stuff, especially when it comes to voice assistants and things like that, and just how easy it is to get your favorite streaming channels working. And we will be having a look at weather apps. Apple has bought Dark Sky. We'll tell you what that means for Apple users and Android users. Let's talk about some of the app news right now. Well, a lot of restaurants are obviously closed now because of the pandemic, so we're all hitting the grocery stores. But sometimes, especially in urban areas and in areas that don't have a lot of grocery stores, they get pretty crowded. Well, OpenTable, which we've used in the past to make restaurant reservations, now makes supermarket reservations. So you can actually go into OpenTable, and this is rolling out in a few cities down in the US first, and basically reserve a time when you can go into the supermarket. How do you feel about this, guys?
I love OpenTable to begin with. The question that I have right now is usually I get points if I book a reservation. Am I be getting points for booking a grocery store spot as well?
You get extra points for toilet paper.
I think this is a great idea, right? And that's kind of I do live in an urban area, and the closest grocery store to me, it's been challenging to maintain social distancing in there because it's a very, very small space with small aisles, and you do your best, but you go down one aisle and you see somebody down there, so you turn around and somebody's already come down the other end. It feels a bit like a rat in a maze at times. So being able to book in and have some space to myself, knowing that maybe I've got 20 minutes, half an hour to get in, get out, I'm all for this.
I wonder how effective this is going to be. A lot of people, yes, can use OpenTable, but what about the portion of the population that aren't as app savvy? Will they have a harder time getting grocery time now?
They're going to be lining up, I think. I was at Walmart yesterday, and they've completely transformed the store into these aisles of arrows on the ground, barricades up, and basically, like Graham said, you're a rat in the maze, literally going down each aisle. And the lineup just to get into the grocery section was pretty long. It probably took 10 15 minutes just to get through the line of that, because they don't let more people in than can be in that space. But the challenge is still in the grocery stores, though, is people are still not realizing social distancing, and they're taking 10 minutes to look at that bottle of pickles and backing up the rest of the rats in the maze. So, and some people just seem completely oblivious to the pandemic existing at all. And they're like, why can't I just buy my ketchup?
Yeah. I guess my challenge is the people that are blocking the aisles. They're sitting there. What yogurt should I get? And they're basically blocking about 25 feet of yogurt space, and you have to sit there and wait while they are touching all the yogurts to see which one they want. It kind of drives me crazy.
Well, sorry, Mike. I was just going to sort of related to that. It's interesting that it looks like Ubereats is pivoting as well to do grocery deliveries, which actually might make that a little bit easier for some people.
Yeah, that is interesting. So how's that working? Let someone at the grocery store pick all the must have, right?
Yeah, I think the driver has to go in and pick up your order instead of you having to do that. And I think part of that is just because it gives Uber drivers something else to do other than deliver takeout. And it's, they've got this big hole where people aren't using their services as much for, door-to-door people moving. So it makes more sense for them to allow the grocery deliveries as well, assuming that your local store supports the gathering of those goods so that the driver can just come in and get, John's box of groceries, that type of thing. So it'd be interesting to see how that pans out over the next little while.
Switch gears here. Interesting story about Airbnb. They right away when this started rolling out, this pandemic, and became serious, they offered all the users that had existing reservations free cancellation. So in the past, if you wanted to cancel on Airbnb, it depended on the actual host. They had different qualifications. Some would give you a full refund, some would give you 50%, some wouldn't give you any. So Airbnb stepped in and said everyone can get a refund on stuff that they've booked that they can't obviously get to. Well, that made huge issues for a lot of the hosts out there. Obviously, they're getting all of their reservations canceled. My brother, he's got a place up in Whistler. He had reservations. Obviously, those were all canceled, but then he's out. Of course, all the potential money there. Well, Airbnb has said that they are setting aside $250 million to help pay hosts for missed or canceled bookings, which I thought was a nice step in the right direction, because they didn't really have to do that.
Can I tell you the interesting thing that I found about Airbnb in the last 2 weeks? So if you go back about 2-3 weeks ago, there were about 200 vacant units in Vancouver available for rent. There are over 2,500 now.
Really?
And we have a real vacancy problem as far as rentals go in Vancouver. It seems that the folks who've said that Airbnb is not an issue for people trying to find rental homes, looks like you were just proven wrong. There is a ton of rental stock available in Vancouver that people are desperately trying to rent right now. And it seems like part of our housing problem is actually in the process of being solved through this availability.
2,500, you said?
Yes.
Wow.
That, that definitely is a lot. I don't know if you guys saw this tool. This is pretty cool. If you've got a Mac and if you're doing video conferencing for work or, the virtual happy hours, you always kind of wonder before you turn the camera on, how do you look? Well, there's a handy Mac app, and it's called Hand Mirror, and it's essentially like a hand mirror. It installs on your desktop, and you can basically click it, and within 1 second, it activates your web camera and shows you how you look before you go into your video call. I love it.
I used it before this call. It works great. Yeah.
Make sure there's no spinach in your teeth.
And you look fantastic.
There is nothing worse though than you do get on a video call, and so the way I've got my computer set up right now, I've got the Mac with the webcam off to the right, and usually I'm focused on the computer in the middle. And you're halfway through the call, and you look over, and something's out of place. Your glasses are skewed, your hair is sticking up, and you're like, "Wow, that's been a good 15 minutes. Great." No one sent me a private message to say, "Hey, you look like a complete dork." Thanks, y'all.
Well, we just like to laugh at you, Graham.
And record the video.
Right.
And record the video. Okay, we're going to have to take a break. We still have a lot to talk about on today's app show, including coming up next, the best Zoom hacks, how you can make the best of that little video conferencing program we're using all the time, how you can look better, how to use the virtual backgrounds. And did you know there's a setting that can actually touch up your video and make your face look better? We'll tell you how to get to there too. I want to talk about Zoom. Zoom. And it's a program that probably most of us hadn't heard about up until a few months ago. Everyone's using it now for work. It's one of the most popular ones out there. We use it all the time for our work meetings and conference calls. And the nice thing about it is it's simple. It's easy to set up and use, and you can literally have how many? Up to 1,000 people on it at the same time. I don't think I'd want 1,000 people on my same Zoom call, but it can be done. So what we wanted to talk about today is the best of the Zoom hacks that we have come across. And I think, one question that I get from everyone is, how do you do the virtual backgrounds? And this is such a handy feature because a lot of times you're doing your Zoom call from your messy kitchen or your bedroom. And do you want all your coworkers seeing all that crap? No. Well, one of the features on your video window is going into the little video icon and choosing virtual backgrounds. And from there, they've got a few standard template ones, but you can actually load in any photo for your background. And so what happens when you do that, it basically takes out everything behind you, keeps you there in the forefront, and then puts that photo there. So I've seen some really creative stuff. John, you're probably one of the best out there. Like you've got Baby Yoda happening in the Death Star. And my favorite one, though, and Christina, who helps put the show together, is going to kill me for talking about this. You had a photo of like pallets full of toilet paper one day as your background.
Yes, my warehouse.
And you took a snapshot of that and you posted that on Facebook. I get a text from her and she's like, "What the hell?" And I'm like, "What's going on? Are you okay? How's John have that much toilet paper? Is that his house?" And so I just thought, I'm going to play this. And I said, "Yeah, that is his house," because I'm not lying. And oh my God, she lost her mind. Like, why is John hoarding? Everyone needs toilet paper. And this is where it's all going. John is stockpiling it all in his house. Where in his house is he? And that went on for like 20 minutes. John, that was the best 20 minutes of my life. Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyway, she wasn't happy when I revealed the truth. So, sorry, Christina.
Well, and you actually started playing when some of our team meetings where you've actually recorded yourself sitting in front of the camera and walking around. And then you can actually, in Zoom, you can make a virtual background being a video clip as well. Like you mentioned, I have the Baby Yoda from The Mandalorian on the ship as my background some of the times. And it's just a Baby Yoda looking at the camera basically and playing with some buttons. But you actually had yourself getting up and walking away, and that runs on a loop, and it really freaks people out because then you walk back into frame over top of your video. And
so that was the best thing I did that day. So yeah, I used my webcam, and I basically for 2 minutes just kind of looked into the webcam, took sips of my coffee, fixed my hair, kind of looked around, got up, came back, and I did, I think, 3 minutes of that. And basically what happens, you can use that as your virtual background. So for some of my meetings where I'm in my kitchen computer here, and so I thought, I want to get some stuff done in the kitchen while I'm listening, but it's just so impersonal sometimes when it's just a photo of you. It's always better when it's like the live video. So I was playing that, and I did that all day, and not a single person called me on it. And what was the funny thing? They'd be asking me questions in the call, and I would be answering them. My lips aren't moving, and no one called me on it.
This is why I have trust issues. Right
Yes,
here.
yeah.
This right here is why I have trust issues.
And now my problem is every time we have calls, everyone's like, "Hey, is Mike using one of his stupid video backgrounds?" And you know what? I'll never tell you.
I've got to say, one thing that I'm really liking right now, and this is kind of, it's a bit of a Zoom hack, but it kind of works for all the video conferencing stuff as well, is getting yourself a headset that has a busy icon. I've got a Jabra Evolve 40, and it's actually got two things that I really like. One is you can hit a button, and it puts a red light on the headset that says, "I'm talking to someone," so if there's somebody else in the house, they don't bother you. The other one is it's got a mute switch, which I find if you're on mute on Zoom, I have a tendency to forget that it's on. I've got a little bet with myself that if I speak while it's on mute, I have to do 10 reps with my kettlebell, which is sitting beside my desk because I can't go outside and get exercise. But I find I'm doing it a whole lot less when I've got the mute button there. So it's a good way to do it. I should say though, if you've got Zoom up in the forefront and you do want to be able to speak while you're on mute, press and hold the space bar. Right? It's kind of like keying it on a radio, and that will let you talk, and then it'll put it right back on mute when you're done.
Sorry, so I didn't know this. You hit the space bar down like a walkie-talkie, talk while the space bar is down, and then when you're finished, let go, and it goes back on mute.
To talk.
You have to be muted already. If you press the
Yes.
space bar and you're not muted, it just makes the annoying you pressing the space bar button sound. So if you're on mute and you only need to chime in once in a while, definitely the way to go.
John, what are some of your favorite Zoom hacks?
Well, I mean, you covered a couple of them. The big things for me is the quality of the video. It's the lighting, sound. Use a headset, a wired headset preferably, especially because I don't know about everybody else, but it feels like I'm living on a video call all day these days, as opposed to being at my desk in the office. But one of the things that we talked about yesterday on Get Connected, the radio show that's at 10 a.m. on CKNW on Saturdays, was Snap Camera. Is kind of my favorite plugin for Zoom, because it allows you, not just with Zoom, but with any system, to have a whole bunch of Snapchat filters layered over top. So crazy hats, costumes, masks, makeup, you name it, they have it. And it turns into a
that'll go right on your face, your head.
Yeah, yeah. So it's basically it creates a virtual camera that you just choose from your camera settings, and you can have a lot of fun with it. And you can create favorites. You can even make your own filters if you go through the process. I haven't tried that yet, but there's a lot of creative people. Like, you can be a potato if you want to be a pickle. All kinds of crazy fun stuff. And I mean, we've talked about this a few times. We're all sick and tired of seeing each other's kitchens and living rooms and things like that. So this breaks things up. It's a nice icebreaker. You can have some fun and then get down to work.
Another feature I like, and I didn't know it was there, but I found it. In the video settings, you can actually click a box off to improve the overall appearance of yourself. It'll actually smooth you out.
Yes.
And I need all the help I can get. I'm not going to lie. And so that is a great feature as well. And talking about looking better, and Graham, it's all about the quality, right? You talked about audio. Same with you, John. The lighting is important as well. I invested in a ring light. This is like a little halo light. Got it off Amazon, I think, for $50. It's on a tripod. It's got a little grip for your phone if you want to use that as your video conferencing device. And it made a world of difference for all the Zoom calls I was doing. I do global TV hits as well. Now I don't look like I'm near death. I actually have a nice glow to me. My skin tones are normal. So if you are doing a lot of video calling, best investment I made in a long time.
I've got an Elgato Key Light Air coming. So it's an LED panel that's on a stand. And it'll do very much the same thing. I do want to say I've got a neat little tip for you as well, and that is, how you can have your speaker view, right, which shows you the person that's speaking on Zoom. You have your grid view, but if somebody goes into full screen, you get that strip of videos, right? It can be on the side or it can be up on the top. One thing that I found is really helpful is take that strip and put it right under where your webcam is. Reason for being, you'd be looking up at people while you talk to them. And so you don't get that weird, I'm looking somewhere else to talk to you. You actually get that nice interaction where it looks like you're looking at that person. So it's a good way to have a more intimate and authentic connection with people online.
Some of us like looking creepy though, Graham. Okay, so those are some of our favorite Zoom hacks, tips, and tricks. We still have a lot more to talk about on today's app show. When we come back from the break, how to get the most out of streaming. We're going to be talking with the folks over at Roku. Those are the guys that make the streaming boxes and sticks and smart TVs as well. So they've got some new updates that make it even easier and more fun to use all your favorite streaming apps. You're listening to the App Show here on the Chorus Radio Network. Back after this. You are back with the App Show. Mike Agerbo here with John Biehler. Well, as you can imagine, a lot of us are spending a lot of time at home. And when we're not working, we're probably streaming. One of the biggest streaming TV platforms out there would be Roku. I think they have over 36 million users. On the line, we've got our good friend Lloyd Clarke from Roku to tell us some of the cool things and the great content that you can access and some of the new improvements that they've just made. Thanks for joining us, Lloyd.
Good day, gentlemen. Glad to be here.
It's interesting. I talk to a lot of friends about Roku, when they ask, well, I need to get a new smart TV box or stick for my TV. What should I get? And I always say Roku, it's like deadly simple and it's one of the biggest ones out there. And not everyone knows that. A lot of times, people think Apple TV or some of these other ones, but Roku is by far one of the largest, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Like, as you mentioned already, over 36 million active accounts, or you can think of them like households where there's a home with at least one Roku that's accessing our content on our platform. It's a good deal of people who see the simplicity of Roku. It's one of those products. I'm sure you guys have looked at a lot of technology products, and I've worked on a lot of technology products, but this is the one that I feel comfortable in giving as a present to even an in-law, because I know they'll be able to use it. They'll be able to set it up. I won't get that tech support call. It is so simple to use.
So you're basically saying you love your in-laws, but not that much. You don't want to be on the phone with them all the time. No, click here, click here. And I'm joking, Lloyd. You're so right. I got my parents into Roku as well, just because it's just dead simple. There's no crazy menus or anything. It's just like the simple cursor control on the remote, and you hit OK, and you're into the different things like the Netflix or the the Crave or what have you.
And there's so much to watch. I know we're going to end up talking about this, but that's what I get excited about. And especially if you're at home, I know there's a few people at home right now, but if you're looking for something to watch on television, there's thousands and thousands of things to watch on Roku.
Well, that's what I love. I use it for Netflix and Amazon, Prime TV as well. And, when I replace some of the televisions in my home, there's a bunch of different TV manufacturers that actually have Roku hard baked right into the TV. You don't even need a stick or box or anything. And those were actually more appealing to me. And I purchased those because, again, of the simplicity.
It's so true. We've taken this operating system, which was first developed on these little set-top boxes. I think that's what a lot of people understand Roku to be, is that little box or your stick that you attach to your television. But we developed it with the idea of using inside televisions. And now we've got a lot of brands in Canada that are using it as the system to control their entire television. And it makes everything simple on the TV. Now, here's something, you've probably seen this on the television that you've tried for Roku. We did something on televisions I don't think anyone else has. And we got rid of a button that causes the most problems at home, and that's the input or the source button.
Yes.
Yeah. As soon as I say that, everyone goes, "Oh yeah," because once I press that one, it gets me into trouble.
Well, that's the beautiful thing, right? Because you basically if you ever get lost in anything, you just hit that little home button. It's like a little house icon, and that gets you right back to the main screen where you can go into Netflix or Crave or what have you. But also, if you've got Telus or Shaw or Rogers or Bell, TV in there, there's a little icon for that. You can just simply push on to get back into it.
That's exactly right. Everything's laid on your home screen. And that's something that we've done with this latest release. So our operating system is an operating system, and we've got a new version that is just being pushed out to TVs and players right now. And one of the things that we've made even better for all these devices that are already in field is that the home screen will now navigate even quicker than it did before. So you don't have to buy a new device to get this. Your existing device will already be improved with this new release.
I think that's a key point there, Lloyd, is that when you buy a smart TV, for example, it tends to be, whatever that brand is and how often they're going to update it. Whereas Roku has been really good with their updates. And, even though it's maybe baked into the TV, it's still kind of separate from the TV or from the TV manufacturer. So it's really handy to have that sort of updated. We just set up a new studio for GetConnected, and all of our TVs are Roku TVs, and it couldn't have been easier for me to go around and set everything up, and then we can have all of our stuff available across the whole office really easily over our network that way.
That's fantastic. I'm glad you had a good experience. Now, just tell all your friends.
Lloyd, what are some of the other improvements you guys have made with the latest update?
Well, as usual, we do a lot of performance improvements. This is what we do on a regular basis. This time, we've made the home screen even faster to navigate. We've also increased the launch time of some channels. So when you click on one of the channels, we want you to get into that channel as fast as possible. So we've done that again for this release. One of the big things that we worked on this time was reducing the boot time. So boot time means, how fast does your product turn on? And if you're in a household that wants to save money, and I know that a lot of customers are doing this, is that they turn off the power to their TV or they turn off the power to their power strip and everything shuts down. We still want you to get that product on as fast as possible, so we reduce device boot times across the line.
I also see you've got even more voice integration happening with Roku as well.
That's exactly right. So in addition just to core performance, we've also added features. And the features that we've been working on this time for Canadian customers is enhancing voice. So voice has been part of the platform for a while, but we're making it even better by adding the ability to just use natural language. How you and I would talk, you can now use that with your voice remote or even with your mobile app. The mobile app works with all of our devices. And you can say things like, show me comedies, or I want to watch Batman, or turn on closed captions. You can have a small conversation with your Roku, and Roku Voice will help you get to the show that you want to get to.
Do you know what I love, John? I have both Google Assistant, through Google Home, and Alexa in my house. I love now that I've enabled a skill on Alexa and I can use that to control the TV. I was sitting on the couch with my daughter last night and she's like looking for the remote control to turn the TV on. And she just hates like how techie I am. And I just said, Alexa, turn on the family TV. And it popped on.
I'm going to set
Chief
that up in the office because
Yes.
we have all these Roku TVs and we have like lots of remotes, and everyone keeps grabbing the wrong remote, or we can't find any because they're all in AJ's drawer or something. So at least we can just use Alexa then to turn on all the TVs.
That is the other cool new feature that we added with this release, is that in Canada, you can now use those devices that are likely already in your home, whether it's a device that has Alexa on it or whether it's a device that has a Google Home Assistant. You can talk to those smart speakers and control your Roku through there. So makes it so much easier to use and operate.
Who cares if you can't find the remote anymore?
Well, there are a lot of people who misplace that remote, and that's why we've been working on the mobile app. And that's what the last feature I wanted to tell you about today is that the mobile app has also been improved, and a lot of customers use it for remote control. And we've added some quick search attributes right on the mobile app, so you can get to the channels that you've been watching recently. And a reminder for those people who have tried the mobile app or who haven't tried it, there's an amazing feature that I just love in the mobile app, and that's private listening. So you can use your cell phone, your mobile phone, plug in a set of headphones, and you can listen to your show without disturbing the other people in your home. And if you're like me, there's a lot of people in my home right now, so I can watch without waking up my housemates.
Fantastic. We're talking with our good friend Lloyd Clarke. He is with Roku. If you need to find a way to spend some time and want to get into the whole streaming game or want to up your streaming game, have a look at some of their set-top boxes and sticks. They're pretty cheap. You can get them on Amazon and pretty well every online retailer. And of course, it's built into a lot of TVs as well. Lloyd, thanks so much for taking some time to chat with us.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Always good talking to you guys.
Thanks, Lloyd.
When we come back from the break, more apps to talk about here on the App Show. Stay tuned. You are back with the App Show. Mike Agerbo here with John and Graham. Let's talk weather. It actually snowed the other day in Vancouver, out here in White Rock anyway. There was like a fine layer of the white stuff when I woke up in the morning. That wasn't on the weather app in iOS, unfortunately, the day before. Apple obviously is trying to up their game when it comes to weather forecasting, as a lot of us do use the weather app to see what's happening in the coming days and week. They have recently bought Dark Sky. This is a really great weather app that many people are using, and it was actually quite accurate. John, did you ever use it?
I did. Actually, I was at a conference in Portland when I first discovered it, I think shortly after it came out. And one of the crazy things that the person that was showing this to me, this was actually a Google employee that was showing it to me. She was saying, it's very accurate as far as its predictions, because it uses all the modeling software and all the stuff that a meteorologist would use, and actually some predictive AI to say, in 14 minutes, it's going to rain. And she said that to me, and I'm like, nah, it's not going to happen. We go outside, literally the 14th minute, it started raining. And I'm like, okay, I'm buying this app right now.
I know. It's like, it was pretty spooky. I found out about it when I was in Toronto a few years ago, and it was uncanny, like, almost to, within a minute or so of predicting when a rainfall would happen. That, I've just never seen that in any type of weather app. So obviously, again, Apple's trying to up their game, but I guess that leaves the Android folks out, because I think they're shutting it down basically for Android users.
July 1st, yeah, it'll be no longer available. Although if you haven't, there's a lot of apps that use the Dark Sky system as an API. Basically, it's a connection for other apps to use their sort of modeling software. And apparently that's going to still work until the end of 2021. But after that, who knows? But I think Graham and I were talking beforehand about, we're both excited to see how this is going to get integrated into the Apple ecosystem, if it's going to be its own app or if it's just be part of the weather system app itself.
Okay, so for the the poor Android users out there that were using Dark Sky, there are some app alternatives though, and we've actually got a list here. I don't know if you've tried some of these before, Graham. One popular one is Carrot. And this does weather predictions, but it also is kind of a fun weather app. It's got kind of a personality. It actually offers tongue-in-cheek commentary in audio or text on what's happening that day. So it's kind of a fun one. It is using the Dark Sky API, for all its data. So I don't know how long it's going to be around. Obviously, if that's going to stop happening at the end of 2021, will they be able to find other sources, or will they go their own way? Another one is One Weather. This is another app, again, available for Android users. I think it's about $2, like a one-time purchase. But it is really good, again, at predicting the current weather. And of course, another popular one, Accuweather. So, again, there's a few apps out there for the Android users who were very fond of dark sky. So you will have some choices for a little while. I'm interested, though, to see, if Apple's going to keep dark sky around as an app for Apple users, or are they going to integrate it right into the weather app?
I think personally it's going to end up as the new default weather app, right? It's been kind of overdue for an overhaul. In Canada they use the Weather Network. Down in the States they use the Weather Channel, and that information is good, but it's not quite as good as what we've been able to see with some of this predictive AI. So I think that's really Apple's play here. Is it will, if I had to make a prediction, it will be very much Siri integrated. I feel like Apple is also probably moving towards that Google style. Here's what your day is going to look like. I know when I wake up in the morning, I now have this greeting on my phone that tells me, what the weather is going to be like first thing in the morning, or what it is right now. And here are some of the appointments that I have. I think we're going to see an expansion of that as Siri starts to grow. And I think this is a key part of that.
Yeah. Did you guys ever use the Yahoo weather app?
Oh,
Yes.
all the time back in the day.
Yeah, I loved it because it would pull in photos from Flickr that are weather related. So it was always kind of different and a little bit more interesting than just basically a blue background, which is typically what you see in most weather apps. It's too bad they had to mothball that.
Well,
Yeah, Yahoo is where good technology goes to die.
Yes, exactly.
Pretty much, and that's why they're pretty well dead, aren't they?
In the water.
in the water. Okay, we're going to have to take another break. When we come back, it's App of the Week time, and this one's a great one that we have a lot of fun with. You're listening to the App Show here on the Chorus Radio Network. Back after this. You are back with the App Show. Mike Agerbo here. We got Graham Williams and John with me, John Biehler. Okay, it's App of the Week time, and this is one that's been around for a while, but phased out, but it's back again. John, HQ Trivia.
Yeah, this is a very popular trivia system, kind of like a game show or like a daily game show where people can actually win real money. And they ran out of money a little while ago. And so they folded quite abruptly. And I heard there was something about the fact that they weren't actually paying some of the winners. They literally like ran out of money. And they had a bunch of host changes and things like that. The people were let go and that kind of thing, but apparently it's back. And it's an investor came in and reactivated it all. And it's I have yet to play it. I know Graham's played it though.
I do. I love my trivia games, and it's one of those things where being able to just jump into this, answer a couple of questions, possibly get a chance. I haven't made any money on it. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's a good little distraction, and kind of fills the gap between episodes of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and Jeopardy. So
Right.
that lets you know what my life's like.
Oh, speaking of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, I used to love watching that show, especially when Regis was hosting it. Anyway, I have one of those Echo Show smart speakers on my nightstand. It's got the little 5-inch screen. And every night before I go to bed, I play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Nice.
And it is so awesome. It comes up with the interface on the screen, just like you'd see on TV. And you can, do some lifelines on there, like 50-50. And I've gotten as high as $50,000, but it is all kinds of awesome. I love it. So to work it, all you say is, Alexa, I want to play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So if you've got one of the Alexas that's got a screen, it's even better because then you can see all the multiple choice questions. But at the same time, you can just do audio only. It'll actually read out all the questions and the answers to you so that you can make the choice. So if you are into trivia and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, that is a fantastic one as well. But I used to play HQ Trivia as well. I never won a cent, but this is kind of fun to play along, and especially when you're playing against other people. That's all the time we have left for the app show. I want to thank everyone that helps put this together: Graham, John, Christina, AJ, Paul, and Nigel, and Stephen, of course. And don't forget to visit our website, getconnectedmedia.com, doing all sorts of giveaways. If you subscribe to our newsletter, it's on the newsletter tab. You subscribe, you are entered to win literally thousands of dollars of prizes over the year. Again, getconnectedmedia.com. That's all the time we have left. We'll see you again next time.